Have you ever noticed that throughout history, many states try to claim to be the new Roman Empire? Like the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, and even Moscow, which claim to be the Third Rome. This is actually not unique. In other parts of the world, the successive Chinese dynasties maintained that they had inherited the same Chinese empire over and over again. The Muslim states fight with each other for the Caliphate designation, and as for the nomadic steppe empires, they kept trying to form a Khaganate, such as the Mongol Empire. Hi everyone, I'm CJ. On this video, I'm going to briefly introduce the 4 most popular imperial models: Chinese Empire, Khaganate, Roman Empire, and the Caliphate. For rulers, acquiring the title of emperor or their equivalent in those various imperial models actually provides them with practical benefits, even if it is a propagandistic one. The title Roman Emperor, Chinese Emperor or Huangdi, Caliph, and Khagan confer the holder authority over the rest of the world. Nominally at least, since the authority may not be recognized by people from other civilizations. But it would at least provide a convincing mandate for people of the same civilization and cultures, or those who are familiar with the concept. Kublai Khan, for example, took the title of Chinese Emperor when he established the Yuan dynasty and ruled the Chinese part of the Mongol Empire. Imperial titles also serve as a form of social contract between the ruler and its vassals and subjects. As long as the ruler behaves in a manner expected of the imperial model, they would be tolerated. Additionally, it also gives them the right to launch wars against anyone who rejects their authority, providing them with instant casus belli, or case for war at any time. The good news for imperial aspirants wanting to adopt these models is that you don't actually have to come from the same culture or civilization. The Ottoman Empire rulers, for example, were neither European nor Arab, but they claimed to be both the emperors of Rome and also the Caliph of the Muslim world. The Ottomans were originally Central Asian Turks who came and conquered these 2 other states. And that's how they ended up having 2 imperial claims. I call this phenomenon legacy assumption. Here is an interesting thought experiment. If one day you are hit by a truck and found yourself isekai to the past, it means that even you could assume the legacies of these imperial models. But which imperial model should you choose? Coming up next, I will discuss the differences between each imperial models and the cultural, religious, and territorial conditions you need to fulfill to legitimize your claim. But before I do that, let me just quickly mention our sponsor, Cloudbreaker Alliance. Full disclosure, I am the designer and project lead of this counter-apocalyptic tabletop role-playing game. In Cloudbreaker Alliance, you play as Cloudbreakers who travel through monster-infested cloud walls to reconnect with lost civilizations and defeat monsters together. The civilizations are inspired by lesser-known historical political models, such as Gongxi Republic, consensus-based polder model, and a reimagined steppe confederacy system. Yes, I am pulling out all the big guns in obscure historical references for this project. In terms of gameplay, this tabletop RPG has a unique spirit burst system inspired by East Asian storytelling structure of Ki Sho Ten Kets. It lets you build up your power and unleash special abilities like limit breaks in JRPG, while creating a natural narrative arc in each combat situations. It also has plenty of character option to let you create interesting class combinations such as orcish cowboys that shoots ki blast, or ninja berserkers. This project's crowdfunding period on Kickstarter is ending soon, so this is your last chance to back it. And if you do, you will also get our Kickstarter exclusive discounts for being a backer. You can find the link to this project in the description section below. Okay, now back to the video and let's claim the Chinese Empire. This one is one of the easiest one to understand. All you need to do is to just get the mandate of heaven. But what constitutes as the mandate of heaven can be quite tricky, because the concept evolves through time, as I covered in more detail in a previous video. Historically, the concept of mandate of heaven was created at the start of the Zhou dynasty in the 11th century BCE to justify their takeover of the Shang dynasty. They argued that the mandate of heaven was transferred from the supposedly evil and corrupt king of Shang dynasty to the righteous king of Zhou dynasty. The latter became the son of heaven. As the Zhou dynasty expanded, its territories became increasingly fragmented by new dukes and feudal lords. Eventually, these lords would vie for supremacy, and China entered the warring states period. Finally, the Qin dynasty would emerge as the sole victor and unify all the states to establish the first Chinese empire. This is why territorial integrity is a very important component for your claim as a Chinese emperor. The more historical Chinese territory you hold, the stronger your claim is. Easy, right? Another very important legitimizing factor is culture. Throughout the millennia, China had been ruled by foreign dynasties multiple times. Even before the Mongols established the Yuan dynasty, there had been plenty of other nomadic people who conquered and ruled parts of China. During the 16 Kingdoms period, various barbarians such as the Xiongnu and Xianbei ruled the land as Chinese emperors. Later, the Khitan established the Liao dynasty, and the Jurchens who came after them founded the Qin Dynasty. Despite their foreign origins, they all had to adapt Chinese culture and use the imperial Chinese title of Huangdi to justify their rule of all under heaven. Or at least they just put up a convincing enough facade using their propagandists. The reason why culture is so important is because statecraft, mandate of heaven, and culture are all tied together as part of the Confucian education, the state philosophy of China since the Han dynasty. Unlike other imperial claims, religious justification is the least important factor for Chinese empires. The heaven in Son of Heaven is virtually a placeholder for any possible gods throughout the millennia. Various emperors have used different religions to justify their rule. Most of the time, they would favor Taoism since they worship indigenous Chinese gods. But Wu Zetian, the only female emperor of China, had used Buddhist texts to claim her right to rule. Meanwhile, the rebel leader Hong Xiuquan of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom would use Christianity. He actually claimed that he was the brother of Jesus. But that's a story for another time. Next up, how to claim a Khaganate. A Khaganate is the imperial model of the various steppe people, such as the Huns, Rorans, Turks, and eventually the Mongols. The title Khagan was first recorded sometime in the 3rd century CE, but this style of steppe empire can be traced back all the way to Modu Shanyu, who established the Xiongnu Empire, the precursor of the Hans, at the 3rd century BCE. Khagans are elected by a group of steppe nobility in grand assemblies. The name of the assembly is called Kurultai by the Mongols, but it may have had different names in the past. Being part of the nomadic culture and having blood relation to past rulers like Genghis Khan would definitely help. But it is not everything, because even the Chinese emperor Tang Taizong was given the title of Tian Kehan or Tengri Khagan after defeating the Eastern Turkic Khaganate. So he had two imperial claims, Son of Heaven for the Chinese and Tengri Khagan for the steppe people. You don't have to be a nomad to be a Khagan, but still, you need to know enough about their culture and the responsibility that comes with the title, like Tang Taizong did. It would be a good idea to at least attend the Kurultai, even though later Tang Dynasty emperors didn't go to them. Even if they did, there aren't any records of them doing it. Religion here is relatively important, because Khagans are given their mandate by Tengri, the eternal heaven. But since every steppe culture had their own interpretation of Tengrism, you have some room to play with. When the Mongol Empire was divided, the official religion of the Mongol Yuan dynasty was actually Tibetan Buddhism. The official religions of the Ilkhanate, Golden Horde, and Chagatai Khanate, however, were Islam. Like religion, territory is not incredibly important here. You would have more credibility if you held sacred or cultural sites of Tengrism. However, different steppe civilizations such as the Turks, Mongols, and Roran had different sites that are considered important to them. But in general, a Khaganate should be located somewhere in the steppes of Central Asia, or at least the state should hold a significant amount of territory there. Interestingly, Khaganates fell out of fashion when these nomadic nations conquered sedentary states and used the imperial titles of their conquered people. Next up, how to be a Roman Empire. This is a bit more complicated than the others, because there are two flavors of Roman Empire. And here is your context. The city of Rome was founded in the 8th century BCE. Through time, it evolved from being a kingdom to a republic and finally to an empire in the year 27 BCE. Then, in 395 CE, Rome split into two. What is interesting here is that you don't actually have to physically control the city of Rome to claim the title of Roman Empire. You just need to base your succession on one of these two Roman states. When the Western Roman Empire fell in 476 CE, it was later claimed by the Frankish king Charlemagne, who was crowned the Emperor of Rome by the Pope in the year 800 CE. His Carolingian Empire would later be known as the Holy Roman Empire. And as you know, Voltaire had a famous quip about this. Unsurprisingly, the Holy Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire didn't get along and didn't recognize each other as Rome. The Eastern Roman Empire would later be called the Byzantine Empire because this name was popularized by a historian from the Holy Roman Empire, Hieronymus Wolff. Byzantine is actually the previous name of Constantinople, the capital city of Eastern Roman Empire. But as long as the Eastern Roman Empire had existed, they had always just called themselves Rome, not Byzantine or even Eastern Roman. That's why when the Ottoman Empire conquered Constantinople, the Sultan claimed the title Kaisar-i-Rum, or the Caesar of Rome, despite being nowhere near the city of Rome. So territory was only a mildly important factor for this claim. But to be fair, there had never been a state claiming to be Rome too far outside of Europe. The government of the United States is partially based on the Roman Republic and has been compared to Rome a lot, but it had never actually claimed to be a Roman Empire. Religion is quite an important legitimizing factor for a Roman emperor. The Grand Schism between the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox Christian had split their influence into their respective domains. The Roman Catholic Church legitimized the Holy Roman Emperors, while the Eastern Orthodox Church legitimizes the Eastern Roman Empire and its claimants, such as the Ottomans and the Duchy of Moscow, which claim to be the Third Rome. Not everybody accepts the claim of the Ottoman Empire, of course. That's why a branch of the Eastern Orthodox Church, which had split into the Russian Orthodox, jumped onto Moscow's side. Last but not least is the Caliphate. A caliphate is led by a caliph, who is the religious and political leader of the global Islamic community and a successor of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. The first caliph, Abu Bakr, was appointed in the year 632 upon Prophet Muhammad's death. His authority is accepted by the Sunni branch of Islam, but not by the minority Shia branch, though there are some exceptions. Obviously, this means that there is a very strong religious component in these claims. You definitely can't be the leader of the Islamic world if you are not a Muslim yourself. Previously, being a member of the Quraysh tribe, the tribe Muhammad came from, is a prerequisite for becoming a caliph. But eventually, the Ottoman Empire defeated the Mamluks and claimed caliphal authority in 1517. Since the Ottomans were not related to the prophets, this requirement became progressively weakened. Well, it is kinda hard to argue with political reality. Besides the Ottomans, there are also plenty of other non-Arabic caliphates, such as the Caliphate of Cordoba, which was located in parts of Spain and North Africa, and Sokoto Caliphate, located in West Africa. Their claims, however, were only accepted locally, because they lack the political authority and some really crucial components to this claim. And these are the control of the Islamic holy cities of Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem. Mecca obviously is the most important one, since Muslims are required to perform the Hajj at least once in their lifetime. This means that Muslims all over the world must make a pilgrimage to Mecca if they have the means to do so. These 4 imperial models are not the only imperial models that exist in the world, of course. Honorable mention goes to the Japanese Empire and the Chakravartin model from ancient India. Throughout history, it has always been easier to inherit an existing government model rather than invent one out of nothing. Similar phenomenon can also be observed in religions apparently. New cult leaders often start their religion as an offshoot of an established one. Anyway, if you are going back to the past to start your own empire, which imperial model would you choose? Or if you want to use all of them, in what order will you claim them? Tell us in the comments below. Until next time, stay cool my bros! Remember to check the Kickstarter by the way.